Coming up next on Channel 7 News at 10, he is no longer on the run. Manuel Noriega is in Panama City tonight, inside the Vatican Embassy. We will have live reaction from Noriega's Miami attorney.
Record cold means rolling power blackouts for South Florida. We'll tell you why FPL may briefly cut your power tonight.
And a state of emergency is declared as Florida farmers try to protect their crops from the cold.
These stories plus weather and sport.
All next on Channel 7 News at 10.
Today this fella comes in, says he'll have chicken salad. Then he won't. Then he will. I say, darling, make up your mind. Says he's cutting down on cholesterol. I show him new Kraft cholesterol free. Welcome back to Mayo, I say. Eats every bite. Then he asks me, will I go out Saturday night? I say, maybe I will, maybe I won't.
New Kraft cholesterol free. Great taste, no cholesterol.
Paris, where romance is set free to soar. Follow it and find its source, the essence of romance, captured in a bottle. Moet, France's best-loved champagne.
There's one more gift you haven't opened yet, and it's from me to you. I got a feeling you're gonna like it.
It's a special party with special friends.
I know you're sleeping, but don't go to bed.
Stay up with the magical David Copperfield, the delightful Ed Begley Jr., and the legendary Nancy Wilson.
Welcome to the Love Train.
Share a very Merry Christmas on the next Arsenio Hall Show. Monday at 11 on WSVN 7.
This show is a combination of journalism and entertainment. We make it exciting. We're always pushing for something more.
Get the Inside Report with Penny Daniels, weeknights at 7 on WSVN 7.
Stand by 1917.
Live from Channel 7, South Florida's news station. Jackie Bales, Rick Chambers, weather with Steve Adams, and sports with Jay Heiler. This is Channel 7 News at 10.
Cheering today in the streets of Panama City as the search for Manuel Noriega finally ends. Tonight, he's in the Vatican Embassy in Panama asking for political asylum. Good evening. Rick Chambers has the night off. I'm Mark Lundner. Our top story, no more mystery about where Manuel Noriega is, but plenty of mystery about what happens next.
Noriega telephoned the Vatican Embassy in Panama today, then drove up in a private car, walked inside, and asked for asylum. The big question tonight is, now that the U.S. knows where Manuel Noriega is, can the U.S. get its hands on him? The Vatican Embassy is protected by international law, but U.S. troops surrounded the building after it became known that Noriega had sought asylum there.
A few minutes ago, we received a report that Mr. Noriega had presented himself at the Papal Nunciariate and turned himself in for political asylum.
Crowds gathered at the Vatican Embassy heard a spokesman for the papal delegation confirm the news that Noriega was inside.
La noticia está confirmada.
Noriega leaves behind a house in which troops found a huge cache of weapons, as well as signs of a luxurious lifestyle. In Panama, to be with U.S. troops, Defense Secretary Dick Cheney had this to say about Noriega's appearance at the Vatican Embassy.
I think the United States military has done a tremendous job in running him to ground. Now it's up to the lawyers and diplomats to figure out what happens next.
One of those lawyers is Miami attorney Frank Rubino, who's defending Manuel Noriega against federal drug charges here. Mr. Rubino joins us now live from his home in Coconut Grove. Good evening. Have you talked with your client yet tonight?
Good evening, Mark. I have not talked to the general yet this evening.
Tell us, what do you expect will happen now?
Well, obviously, the general sought political asylum at the Papal Nunciero because in the past we have dealt with the Papal Nuncio during the other negotiations that had failed. He feels secure with the man and obviously with the Vatican.
Now, these other negotiations, these are negotiations to deliver Mr. Noriega to a third country for asylum?
Well, these were the negotiations that we've had on 3 occasions in the past. Obviously, our work is now cut out for us. We will obviously be seeking a third country for the general to go to.
Do you think the United States now is prepared to give up hope of getting the general back to answer these drug charges in Florida?
Well, as it stands now, there are only two possible ways that the general could go into the custody of the United States. One would be if the United States invaded the Vatican, which I think is highly unlikely, and the other way would be if the papal nuncio or word from the Vatican came down and the temporary asylum that the general now has was discontinued and he were actually, so to speak, put out on the street.
Well, what do you think the chances of that happening are?
I think the chances are slim to none on either occasion, to be candid with you.
Thanks a lot for speaking with us. That's Frank Rubino, who is one of General Noriega's attorneys here in Florida. Earlier today, we spoke with the cousin of Panama's new president. Luis Endara lives here in South Florida. He says the fact Noriega turned himself in is a great Christmas present to Panamanians, but he says there is great skepticism, quote, about the way Noriega got away from justice. We hope later on to have a live report from Panama City. Jackie.
In other news tonight, South Florida and the rest of the state remain locked in the grip of an Arctic cold front that is shattering records all the way to Key West. It is so cold, power companies, including FP&L, are shutting power off for 15 minutes at a time in rotating blackouts because utilities are strained to the max. We have Team 7 coverage on this incredible cold wave, beginning with Channel 7's Rick Leventhal.
This generator supplied the Jews for a Cuban Christmas Eve dinner party after a day-long power outage. Many of the dishes went uncooked on a now useless stove, and this normally festive occasion turned cold.
We haven't been able to enjoy it because we've all been, and my mother, I had her here, she's 75 years old. I had to take her back to her boarding home because she just couldn't stand the heat, the weather. It was just too cold here.
All day long, power was knocked out by the frigid weather or simply turned off by FP&L. The utility is randomly pulling the plug all over South Florida because it's overloaded by record-breaking usage on the coldest day of the year.
Try and keep the use of electricity to a minimum, because if you've got it, chances are that somebody else is going without right now.
The massive power outages left many traffic signals dark, causing backups and fender benders. Entire neighborhoods lived without heat. Some, like Margaret and Don Terry, spent all day in a freezing house.
Well, we're both very cold. I mean, I have on more things than I've ever had on before, and the air in the house is cold. It's 57 degrees right now.
I'm very uncomfortable. We just can't seem to get warm. I wrap around with blankets and still my teeth were chattering.
In Little Havana, people bundled up against the whipping wind but couldn't keep warm.
Yeah, well, I could use another blanket, but I could actually use a jacket on account of the guy. I let him borrow my coat and he never came back.
The power outages continue into the night, as do the random shutdowns by FP&L. Even though it's Christmas Eve, this is exactly what FP&L doesn't want to see. They hope people will conserve energy any way they can, including turning off their Christmas lights. In Miami, Rick Leventhal, Channel 7 News.
FP&L is, of course, asking people to turn down the thermostat a few degrees and throw on an extra sweater or blanket. By the way, those random rotating blackouts will continue through Tuesday. Mark?
Tom Burris is keeping an eye on the weather for us. Tom, how cold is it going to get tonight?
Well, it may get just a couple degrees colder than last night. As long as Santa's got an extra coat, we're okay. We're going to look at about 30 degrees on the coast tonight to around 29 up at West Palm, and even the upper 30s for the upper Keys, lower 40s for down around Key West. Interior tonight, interior Dade and Broward, we're going to see anywhere from around 25 to 27 degrees, so it is going to be a little bit colder tonight than last night. One piece of saving grace, though, that may be with us tonight is that the wind should be a little bit less. We had 31 degrees this morning. There was about 50 to 60 record lows across the nation last night. And Mark, we certainly did do our part as far as adding to that number last night.
Well, Tom, we'll be talking to you later on and get some more details about that chilly, chilly forecast. Jackie.
Well, it has been a rare Christmas Eve indeed. Snow fell overnight as far south as Ocala. And while it looked beautiful, it caused major problems in North Florida cities, like Jacksonville, which was virtually paralyzed by the storm. The National Guard was called out to help rescue stranded motorists. Many highways and bridges were closed, as was the airport. Thousands of people spent the night in shelters, some others at home without power for hours. Of course, for the kids, what better present than a white Christmas? A chance to enjoy some sledding and, yes, even build a snowman. Some people in Palm Beach County are having to go through an extra inconvenience tonight because of those power outages we talked about. Residents of West Palm Beach, South Palm Beach, and Palm Beach are all being asked to boil their water before using it. That's because the water plant lost power and cannot guarantee the purity of the water.
Some Florida farmers are spending this Christmas Eve in the fields with their crops, trying to protect them from another damaging night. It has been a devastating cold wave for Central Florida's citrus industry. Hours of sub-freezing temperatures ruined virtually all of the fresh orange crop, and strawberry growers lost much of their crop as well. The wind blew so fiercely that attempts to cover the berries with a protective coating of ice proved useless. Although citrus in South Florida was not hurt by the freeze, another more sensitive crop was damaged severely. Our Team 7 coverage of the cold wave continues now with Channel 7's Glenna Milberg, who tells us that, in general, farmers in South Florida feel better than those up north.
It is sunrise over the fertile fields of South Dade. Most people are still bundled in their beds, but farmers are out in the record-breaking freeze after a sleepless night, taking drastic measures to protect their crops from the cold.
Some people did turn on their irrigation, and others did not. You can see the ice formed on some of the plants, trying to protect the plants with water.
Some South Florida farms expect millions in losses.
We won't be able to tell what the damage is on the perennial crops, such as trees, perhaps for several weeks up to several months.
Whatever the damage, most agree it won't compare to crop losses in Central and North Florida, where the bulk of the strawberries and sugarcane grow. The state's $3.5 billion citrus crop fared better than most. Oranges are Bob Roth's bread and butter.
We did all this harvesting, and then we started flooding the groves to protect them from this weather. And from my last reports up there with our packing house manager up in Fort Pierce, he thinks that we came through. He's optimistic.
These orange trees were left on their own to bear the cold last night. As you can see, they came through okay, little or no damage. But other South Florida crops are not quite as hardy as citrus is, and for them, the cold may have been much more damaging. Last night's temperatures were cold enough, long enough to seriously damage fledgling tomato plants, crack avocado trees, and ruin fruit and vegetables too young to harvest. The thermometer's moves in the next few days may affect farmers' livelihoods even more, but there is no doubt it has already affected us. We'll be paying higher prices at the market in months to come. Glenna Milberg, Channel 7 News.
Governor Bob Martinez declared a state of emergency today. That would suspend weight restrictions on roads and bridges, and that's important to growers because it will let them move freeze-damaged crops more quickly. Those crops have to be processed immediately or they will be worthless.
Still ahead on Channel 7 News, a refinery explosion lights up the Louisiana sky and injures several people. We'll have the latest.
And in Romania, a weekend of heavy fighting takes its toll.
I put off telling him as long as I could.
We had just gotten married.
That I'd lost my wedding band.
We looked everywhere.
It was gone. I've never felt so...
All-time sales record, with record-setting deals that can save you up to $1,000 now. The Mazda, race to the record. At your Dade Broward Mazda dealer, now.
If you took the best home fashions from Macy's, Burdines, and Modern Age, that's the kind of holiday clearance savings you'll find all day Christmas Day at Fellers. Save up to 70% on furniture, gifts, housewares, and more. Holiday clearance savings all day Christmas Day at Fellers on Powerline Road and the all-new Fellers on University Drive in Davie. Everything imaginable for your home. Open Christmas Day.
Powerful explosions ripped through an Exxon oil refinery in Louisiana today. One person is reported dead, many more are hurt. Smoke billowed hundreds of feet into the air when several of the plant's storage tanks blew up. People as far as 50 miles away felt the blast. 1 mile away at the state capitol, windows were shattered and doors blew open. Louisiana Governor Buddy Roemer has called out the National Guard to stop looters in the area around the refinery.
In Romania, the new revolutionary government is calling for a Christmas truce. That after a weekend of heavy fighting between reformers and forces loyal to former leader Nicolae Ceausescu. Throughout today, sniper fire could be heard in and around the capital of Bucharest. 4 American and European journalists were shot while covering the fierce battles. Romanian television is reporting that as many as 70,000 people may have died during the current uprising. Here in South Florida, Romanian expatriates are especially anxious about events in their homeland. Many of them gathered today for a special mass at the Holy Trinity Romanian Orthodox Church in Miramar. It has been a focal point for the Romanian community since the upheaval began in that country.
Quick work by the Coast Guard today saved the life of a pilot who ditched his small plane in the Atlantic Ocean.
I was happy to see the helicopter.
That's the pilot, a Tampa man who's in good shape after being plucked from the cold water about 14 miles east of Fort Lauderdale. He ditched his single-engine plane after losing power on a flight between Freeport and Tampa.
Just ahead on Channel 7 News, you can count the Finns out for this year. Paul is in next with a look at sports.
And later on, we'll take a look at Christmas celebrations in South Florida and abroad.
Dolphins, baseball, hurricanes, touchdowns, slam dunks, spectacular plays, championships, incredible shots, behind the scenes, everything you need to know. Get all the scores, stories, and highlights first on Channel 7 Sports Extra, tonight at 10:30.
We got the Toyota Camry because we both need a car with a lot of room.
Mrs. Martino has like about 10,000 suitcases full of junk she packs in their comfort trips.
When we travel, Pat and I both have a lot of stuff, but it's never a problem loading the Camry.
Mr. Martino has like about 1 suitcase this big, but he gets to drive.
I love what you do for me, Toyota.
Paris, where romance is set free to soar, to dance, tethered to the city only by heartstrings. Follow it and you will find its source, the very essence of romance captured in a bottle. Moet, France's best-loved champagne.
If you love to surround yourself in beauty, you belong in the world of Estee Lauder. Visit your Estee Lauder beauty advisor and with your choice of $12.50 or more, we'll treat you to this gift, including luscious cream mascara and a lipstick. Estee Lauder. Live in our world. This gift is yours through January 6th at Lord & Taylor.
Paul Seebeck's here with sports. Not a very grand finale for the Finns today.
Oh, a little disappointing. And, you know, the playoff situation for the Dolphins isn't complicated tonight. On Christmas Eve, they know they're home for the holidays, out of the playoffs for a 4th straight year. Dolphins had a chance to go out on a winning note, rallied against the Chiefs, as Santa looked on for a 24-all tie on this TD catch by Mark Clayton. But KC killed any Dolphins celebration, marches right down the field. Kevin Lowry with a game-winning field goal from 41 yards. The celebration begins for the Chiefs. The Dolphins lose 27-24. We'll have more on Sunday Sports Extra in just a few minutes. Now, as it turns out, it didn't matter whether Miami won or lost because Pittsburgh officially eliminates the Dolphins from the playoffs. Opening kickoff, and Rod Woodson scampers all the way down to Tampa Bay's 17-yard line to set the tone of this game. Pittsburgh still alive for the other wild card with a 31-22 win over Tampa. And L. Davis's Raiders are knocked out of the playoffs by the New York Giants, who win the NFC East this way. Rookie Dave Meggett, watch this. He's down to 1 foot right here, but somehow keeps his balance, breaks free, breaks more tackles, en route to a 76-yard touchdown, 34-17, the Giants over the Raiders. Jim Barry will be here in just a few minutes with more of the Dolphins. Mark Logan is here, plus the Singing Hurricanes. That'll be
the Singing Hurricane.
Yeah, we look forward to that.
It's a tough year for the Dolphins. It looked as though they were going to make something of it, and then
up and down, very up and down, and losing 4 of their last 5. It's a tough way to go out, but they'll be better.
Wait till next year.
Yeah.
Jackie.
Right. Coming up next, a Christmas tradition from St. Peter's Basilica.
And it is 36 out right now. Another record breaker for tonight. Bundle up.
They predicted a gloomy year for everyone. But they didn't count on Mazda, with cars and trucks engineered to feel just right. Now, Mazda is racing toward an all-time... It's profound.
Once in a while, you gotta smell the flowers, even if they are plastic.
It's wise.
You're nothing without me.
And on the next Live with Regis and Kathy Lee, we'll really get into the holiday spirit with the Love Chef. We'll talk to actor Danny Ponce from the Hogan family. And we'll find out what Santa and his elves are doing for Christmas.
Live, Regis and Kathy Lee, Monday at 9 on WSVN 7.
Raycom Sports and Entertainment presents the Liberty Bowl, one of college football's most prestigious events. The 31st Liberty Bowl features the high-powered wishbone attack of the Air Force Academy, led by Heisman candidate Dee Dallas, against the aerial assault of the Ole Miss Rebels and their record-setting quarterback John Darnell. Don't miss any of the pageantry and excitement of one of the most elaborate halftime shows of the holiday bowl season. It's the 31st Liberty Bowl, live from Memphis, Tennessee.
The Liberty Bowl, live Thursday at 8 on WSVN 7.
Just a few hours ago, Pope John Paul II celebrated midnight mass at St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Pilgrims and tourists filled the huge basilica, and millions more watched the mass on television. The Pope began his Christmas activities by blessing a 100-foot-high Christmas tree and a nativity scene in the center of St. Peter's Square. In an earlier interview broadcast on Italian television, the pontiff praised the wave of democracy sweeping Eastern Europe.
Went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to the
St. Rose of Lima Church in North Dade celebrated Christmas with a special mass. The service attracted families from throughout the area. Many of the children brought gifts that will be given to other needy youngsters on Christmas Day. They also presented their own nativity scene and joined in singing hymns to the congregation.
Oh, that was really cute. Adorable.
Been looking for Santa on radar tonight and
Yeah?
haven't been able to come up with anything yet. Think it's too cold?
For Santa Claus? Oh, he's used to the North Pole. I think he can stand the cold in
He
Florida.
usually swings California, then Miami, and goes north to acclimate himself, but, you know.
Not this year.
It's not much you can do this year.
Yeah,
Anyway, anyway, let's talk about what happened today around the area. In fact, 45 degrees was our high this afternoon. Boy, that's not good, even for Christmas in the South. 44 degrees along the beach this morning. 45 Kendall, 42 Lauderdale, 44 up in North Dade, 49 Conkey, 52 degrees at Key West. Want to crunch a couple numbers, see what's going on here? Some of these numbers obviously are going to be records or break new records. That 45 this afternoon breaks the old record maximum high temperature for the afternoon, the old one being 65, set back in 1968. Beat that by 20 degrees. If that wasn't enough, our lowest average temperature was in 57 and 57, December 12th, of 43 degrees. Our average temperature, lowest average temperature, was 38 degrees with this cold spell. So that means that we're still way below that. We broke that one. And let's crunch a few more. Our record low maximum for December, well, that was 51, set back in December 12th, 1957, and back in 83. 83, a big cold outbreak there. Today, 45 degrees for the high, was 6 degrees below that. Boy, we've got the cold weather all over the place. A jet stream is dipping, ridging out to the west, dipping clear down here, bringing all that cold air our way, and it's going to be very cold again tonight. But we are going to be warming back up. In fact, the day after tomorrow, we could be up to around 68 degrees again. So, yeah, the warm weather is going to make its way back. The only snow we're really finding tonight is across parts of the Ohio Valley, so everything's looking pretty good. We are seeing a nice warm-up going on across the plains and back out to the west. Tomorrow's highs, cold spot's going to be the Great Lakes in New England. Look for the teens and single digits there. We're going to see 40s and 50s across our neck of the woods, 40s and 50s across Texas. We're going to even see some 60s across the desert southwest of California. So again, this area, an area which saw temperatures during the day only below zero, but we're warming back up into the 30s there. Now for tonight, look for temperatures along the beach, near 30, the upper 30s in the Keys. As you move inland, the farther into the colder spots, we could see as low as 25 tonight at around the populated areas of Broward and parts of Dade County. On the other side, we're even going to see the mid-20s tonight. We do have a free degrees warning out for the area. And for tomorrow, we're going to see temperatures into the 50s, a lot of sunshine, but that's still going to be rather chilly for tomorrow. Again, we do have a warm-up coming. Precipitation is out of the forecast, but the week ahead looks like this. Look for about 34 on Tuesday morning, but temperatures for highs back to around 70 by Wednesday and Thursday, mid-70s on Friday. Let's take a look at tonight and see what we have. Clear skies, cold, 25 inland to around 30 on the beach. For tomorrow, a lot of sunshine, but still chilly, upper 50s. Now for the boaters, this is for tomorrow. North-northwest winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 2 to 4 and a light chop. High tide 6:18 in the morning tonight. Low tide 11:44. Sunrise in the morning 7:05. Sunset at 5:36. Still have a small craft advisory out for tonight, but I'm not going out in the water anyway, so no.
Well, we wanted it to feel like Christmas.
There were 50 or 60 record lows across the U.S. last night, and we had plenty of those ourselves. So.
I heard with the wind chill, it was colder in Orlando than it felt in Minneapolis. Now, that's something to believe. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks very much, Tom. Have a nice Christmas.
You too.
And one story to report, this just in, a grim story. At least 7 people are reported dead in a late afternoon fire that swept through a retirement center in Johnson City, Tennessee. Authorities say they expect the death toll to rise. Firefighters are still battling the fire at the John Sevier Retirement Center, and a temporary morgue has been set up at the Washington County Courthouse. One rescue worker says we are preparing for at least 50 people at the morgue. Mark?
And finally tonight, greetings from some of the U.S. servicemen who'd like to be spending Christmas at home with their families, but are spending it in Panama instead.
Christmas Terry and the kids. Tammy, I'll see you. See you soon, hopefully. Merry Christmas, Mom. Feliz Año Nuevo a todo el mundo en Miami, Florida. Merry Christmas, Martha, Mom, Harry, and everybody in the States. Merry Christmas.
I'd like to say Merry Christmas to my wife, Stephanie, and my parents, everyone. Tell everyone I'm okay, and hopefully we'll be home very soon.
Merry Christmas!
Okay, I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody in Washington State and my family in Pasco. And hey, we're all right.
Merry Christmas, Arizona. I love you, Mom and Dad.
I'd like to say hi to my week-old son and my wife. Wish them well. Have a Merry Christmas. I'll be home soon.
Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh.
Those poor guys.
Yeah, to be in Panama for Christmas. No. Awful. Well, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jackie Bales.
I'm Mark Lundner. Thanks a lot for being with us, and try to stay warm.
Good night.